All right. Yeah, so we printed out, here's the oval. Actually use a smaller. In Photoshop actually took a couple pictures or got some different china online, and took other pictures. I was trying to think if there was a different plate I wanted to put on. Let me show you. I've got two. We've been working on this for in a couple of different classes. More thing. This is the original picture, except the plate is also photoshopped in. But I have a little desk in my house that's, got all these old scratches on it, and the sun comes in, and it's really, beautiful color. So I've been working on trying to do it. This is almost like a trompe-l'oeil kind of picture. We've got the little hinges on the table and all of that. So this is a kind of a really tight, detailed one. But I have another, or this one is also not finished. Both of them are not finished. Here's this one, which is also kind of fun. I've got the oval on there, and I ended up just finding a few, you pull out your tablecloths and kind of pick a pattern here to decide what to put on. I'm gonna take the magic eraser and use it on the back here to kind of soften this up and kind of have it go push back a little bit. But I've been working on the shadows. I have to decide what. I was thinking like a little yellow something on the yellow edge on here. Anyway, so there's another one, and I didn't even draw it out. So I really like patterns, and this is a April Cornell tablecloth kind of thing. So I just had a piece of it, and I sort of just faked it. So this is what it looks like. You just have like a little swatch of it. So it is not even close, really. But I just took a few elements out of it. The thing about doing a pattern is getting the negative space even around everything, right? So when you look at something here, and all the space is equal, kind of all throughout the whole thing. So that's the key to doing it. But also, lay out a plate, right? A round plate. Lay out a tablecloth and take a picture, right? Even just about every photo camera now will let you change the angle, the perspective on the on a plate. So you could even take it from straight above and then change it, to get the perspective the way you want it. But I often like doing that, taking a tablecloth that you have and putting it in a picture, right? If I'm here, okay, so you had said a rectangle. Let's get a dark pencil here. Right. So you want to start, in the middle of the sides, in the middle of each side, right? And then connect those together. Yeah, it's a great idea. The other thing you can do is fold it in half, right? And double check, make sure you've got it right on each side. For that matter, you could draw it out and then use because I've used such a dark pencil line, right? You can use it, you can turn it over, but you can't see it on here. Where is it? And actually just do a, carbon, right? It'll stick, it'll go onto the other side of the paper. Carbon paper, that old-fashioned thing called carbon paper, will work. Okay. I am not going to paint the background yet, and so I think I might not tape this down today. All right, I'll tape it later when I need to put the background on. But I thought I also thought it would be nice to just sketch the pears, right? So let's do that. Okay. So let's see if my pencil is dark enough here, right? Here's my kind of center of my picture, and it, I really do scribble, right? We've got 6 pears here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 pears here, actually. So the really fun thing about drawing is to sort of notice things, right? As you're drawing. So, here's this pear that's right in front, right? So I could spend some time, really kind of getting this just the right shape and, putting it on the page here. And if I get it in the right spot and I'm happy with where it is, then I can start drawing the other pears kind of based on where this one is, right? So I can look and see that the next one is, very close to it. It kind of lines up right with it. And it's a little over onto its side, and it's got a little leaf on it. We'll try and make that leaf a little greener. Right, here's my stem, which also, kind of line up. This one's maybe a little higher up. And the pears are, they're very nice, satisfying shape, I would have to say, right? Here's this one, and you can see it is right, you don't even see the edge of it here. It's behind this stem. So actually, I'm going to pull it out so that we do see it on that stem. And then, I'm going to look and see it comes out about this far. And it goes up and over, right? It doesn't cover up the pattern. And then where does it show up on here, right? It's kind of a little higher up. Okay. The other thing is they're just pears. And it doesn't matter all that much. But okay, now I can do this one in the middle because I've got these 2 guys. So this pear starts right next to the stem of the first one we drew. And it goes up again a little higher. I'm kind of running out of room. My next one is up above it. So actually where it looks like it's going to be a little higher up because I've run out of space. And you can see that it doesn't actually matter. Okay, so we'll go up and over. That might be nicer anyway, because it's, okay. Let's get another one over here. Making them big. Okay. This halfway kind of thing. So I'm just doing an outline, right? A little kind of coloring book outline here. I'll pull this one out a little higher too. You see the photo has the pear kind of ending right along the line of the plate, which is a bit of a bit of a no, right? It kind of makes things a little static right there. So let's pull that pear up over the plate again. Yeah. You know what? Maybe we move this one a little bit too. Let's get it so that it's not quite going across. Let's move it up a little higher. Okay, so even though we've got a photo, right, we can change as many things as we want. One thing I want to do, it's a little hard to see, but there's a tiny, I want to give myself sort of an idea of where the shadow is. And we're going to need a shadow kind of under the plate, even though it's not in our picture. Do that. Let's see. And this is very dark pencil, so I'm getting it all over me. I'll erase it later. But let's see. So they're kind of, yeah, that's all right. Let's move this one over a little bit more. And I was thinking about using some flat brushes to paint these, right? Try to do things a little, I want to say simpler. I want to say, we're going to have to do a few layers. And get my yellows out, right? So the color of the pears, sort of a very light yellow, almost like a lemon yellow, which I do not use very often. But, these could be, we could make them a little more yellow ochre. What did I do? I've got these are very green. These guys are a little more yellow, kind of, Basque looking or Anjou pears. These guys are a little different. I'm just changing the color, even though pears have different shapes. What's also really fun is to go in and get all the little detail on them, right? All those little dings and things that have occurred. But we won't worry about that so much yet. And, I didn't draw out my pattern here. It's another thing I might just take. I'm not sure if I want to. I probably should just do this pattern. Haven't done it yet. But I'm trying to get that oval. It's very interesting. It's kind of wider on the sides. And because you're looking down on it, it's thinner at the back and in the front. Let's see how far we get with that. Find my edge. There's the edge. Too many dark lines. I'm lost. Okay. Could erase it, but I can't. I don't see an eraser. Oh, there's one. Okay. Let me just change the things that I'm going to get rid of some of this, right? So I know. Really, I got to be careful about erasing. Sometimes it ruins the paper. Ugh, I don't know. Oh, I erased the wrong one. Great, there we go. Terrific. This is my brush for getting eraser shavings off. It forever. Okay, back to putting this pear in. there's I don't know if we've talked about it. There's a woman, I think she used to live in Vermont. I believe she's in upstate New York now. Her name is Kate Hartley, and she's a painter. Um, and she paints many things, but almost exclusively pears. Like she's just done hundreds and hundreds of paintings of pears. So it's pretty cute. This is our homage to Kate Hartley, I guess. Okay, so we've got some options here. Let's just try and do some loose washes. I don't want to paint all the pears all together. I think, the same way that we've done, if I'm doing flowers and things and I want to make sure that I've got things kind of interesting, I will paint them all individually. Okay, so first things first, right? Coffee on one side, water on the other. Have a sip. Get your brush going. And let's see what colors we can get here. I've got we've got that nice gamboge, a great yellow. Move that over. So let's just try that. I've got a little bit on my brush and my paper is dry at the moment, and it's too bright. It's way too bright. So we're going to use a lot of water. And maybe let's try something a little different here. I'm going to just put this yellow on, kind of where I see a bright yellow. I'm thinking about using some green kind of at the same time. All right, so I'm going to clean my brush out. We've got a sap green, we've got a leaf green. Just take a little bit of sap and leaf. Okay, so I'm going to kind of maybe put that where my shadow is. I think I want a little yellow ochre too, maybe, right? So let's try this. Let's just start by putting the colors kind of next to each other. So rather than having it, blend, I'm going to put some yellow ochre on. I've got my green on one side. I'm going to look and see where there are some green areas. If it's a little too dry, right, maybe just add a little extra water. This is just water to bring it around. I'm also thinking a little bit of burnt sienna. Okay, right, let's come through. You could use a brush to kind of take off some and preserve the highlight, right? We'll just try and get it a little lighter. So don't take anything else off on the darker edges. A paper towel may be too much, but I've got a dry brush. I'm just letting the paper towel soak up the water, and then it can kind of take everything off here. So I'm even going to take a little on the side there. Nice. And I had said a little burnt sienna. Let's just see what that does. Now, don't get excited about the little lines on it yet. Right, all the detail. Okay. So while it's wet, you can fuss with it a little bit, but I think I'm gonna leave that for the moment. Although I lost my highlight down here. Oops. A little more yellow in. right? It's wet, so I got to be careful unless I'm putting blooms in on purpose, right? So I'm not going to paint any of the pears that are right near this one because I want some nice sharp edges. So let's pick, this is close here. Let's see, maybe we could get that one in. Although I would say, let's give that guy a try. Let's try, I'm going to try a different yellow here. This is my Naples yellow, which is a little opaque. I'm gonna paint around the stem. I don't have to because it's darker, but I want to sort of remember it's there. All right, so we got a nice kind of buttery yellow. Might take a little off. Maybe we try green. Well, the green and the burnt sienna kind of mixed together. So it seems to be like just right. So there's a little, putting the brown on and sort of adding a little bit of green at the same time. Let's see, just a little browner on this edge. So let's see if we can get a nice kind of crisp edge around that other pear. So if it's too dark, right, just kind of add a little extra water. Although actually it looks okay, right? We're painting. It's more interesting to have the colors kind of sit like this, right? This one is more fun than this one. This one's a little boring at the moment. I kind of like the red on that. It's not red, it's brown, but I almost think I should leave it. So let's see. All right, I'm gonna turn this around, right? Because I don't want to stick my hand in it while I'm painting. Turn my picture over to you, and let's work on this guy. Which it's so interesting, right? Because if you could paint them all the same, but if you divide them up and really look at them individually, they all have sort of different light on them. This one does look a little lemony. Do I have any lemon yellow? This might be lemon yellow. Let's see. That is definitely lemon yellow. All right, this one's quite a bit more yellow and green than the others. So here's our kind of bright lemon yellow. I'm going to still take some off. Right, we can always make it darker, but it's hard to get it lighter. Okay. So we got a highlight. Then let's just try. I'm going to put in more green. Actually, so I'm using a flat, but I'm kind of using this filbert, it's called, right? It's a little rounded on the edges. Okay, so here comes some green. Try and get that highlight up at the top. Some down. Don't move it too much. Let the paint move it around or the water move it around. Right? Add a little water if you want, if it's not moving enough. And here's a little bit more. Put a little burnt sienna in the shadow down here. So I'm really just trying to, drop the color in again, like I always say. But pay attention to, where the highlights are. Up at the top also. So let's see. Let's try blotting that a little. It's pretty rare that I take photos with strong light sources. I don't know why. I'm kind of more interested in I don't know, the shapes of things and the design. So I don't really look for. Maybe you know what it is. It's because it's so gray here. We never have bright sunlight, so it's really hard to take pictures with bright sunlight. So I'm used to painting things without shadows and stuff. But it's nice to have a really stark photo that's got really strong lights and darks. Okay, and remember, everything dries lighter, right? So let's see here. It's kind of fun. Now you could have a plate pretty much any color, right? Everything's sort of in between drying. I'm wondering if it might be fun to try and put some of that shadow in first. You can see on the monitor, right? The shadows are a little more obvious than in my photo even. Interesting, like the contrast is better or something. So let's think of a shadow color. You know, you could go and do all the pears, but we're waiting. So let's just try and do something first. I am gonna clean my brush out, hopefully. And then wet this area where the first, this first shadow is here. It kind of goes all the way, well, sort of. It goes out to the edge of the plate. Right, so I've wet this, and you can see the shadow's more concentrated as it gets closer to the plate. I'm putting the shadows on first rather than, putting the pattern on because it's a lot easier to get a nice smooth shadow without having to work with some kind of pattern. Okay. Use. Well, we've got our nice, no, our Payne's gray is okay, but let's put something else in it at the same time. Let's look at some Payne's. About a little bit of, the purple. Let's try some dioxazine purple at the same time. So purple and Payne's gray together, right? It'll go nicely with our yellow pears. Okay, now hopefully I haven't been talking so much that the paper has dried here. Let's see. So I'm going to get a nice bloom here. Right, so I'm going to come in really close. This is where it's a little darker. This is perfect, right? I was talking so much that now my paper has dried enough that I got a lot of control on the shadow. So you can see it's moving out. Add a little extra down here. All right, and we take a little bit of water. Okay. So I've got a clean brush now, and I'm just going to try and feather this out a little bit. Right. And bring the color kind of up and around, let's say. Right, kind of feathers out to nothing really. But let's get a little bit more. Right, we got a little bit more of a pear shape here. So what I'm trying to do is add more color without adding a lot of water. Right. right there. So because this is wet, I've got, time to kind of work on that. Try to get it nice and smooth, right? And have it kind of really loosely feather out. Okay, so I can add, a tiny bit more water. And then let's do one a little further. Let's work on the next one here. Right, so there's a little white space in between. Well, it actually comes down further, doesn't it? Right, so here's a little more water. Now let's try it this way for, again, no, let's wet it. It worked out, it worked so well. Okay, I'm gonna take it and put it around this pear. Right, so, we're getting a little bit of pear shapes in the shadows. And then pretty much just goes out to white. So let's even blot this a little. We'll take a little of that color off the outside edge. I think that's mostly pencil marks. Okay, so we still got some Payne's gray and some purple. All right, let's see if I talked enough this time. It's moving a little faster. I didn't talk enough. Okay, but so take a little water out of your brush. And then, right, we can start to pull this down. Now I've got water on it, not too much, right? I don't want to create a bloom. Although it would probably be okay. So let's feather that out. Maybe blot a little bit around that outside edge. This one's pretty dry now too, so let's get that one going. And I might have to do this I might have to do another layer. This time, because it's darker in here, I did not wet the paper. So I'm going to come in, go slow, and give myself a nice sharp edge around the pear. Let's turn this a little bit. Get that shape right. I mixed some Payne's gray with dioxazine, right? Our normal purple that we use a lot. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is have it, have the shade sort of be a gradation, right? It's lighter as it gets further away from everything. Whoop, there's a lot of water. Let me take some off. So I did create a bloom, but maybe we'll, if we can fix it. Okay, so the white, the shadow goes right up to the next one here. This was still a little wet. Shouldn't have done that. Okay, a little more purple and Payne's. Okay, let's see. This is, I think, pretty dark. Yep. So I'm adding a little bit more here. Because everything's still wet. Okay, this is a little much, though. We'll see. A little too dark. I'm going to add a little extra water to it. And every time I add some water, I've got to like re-wet the whole shape, or I'll end up with a line somewhere. There we go. Okay, let's take a little bit more of that and sort of. Now I'm fussing. Now I'm trying to get I'm trying to get it done in one shot when I shouldn't have to do that. Wait. Okay. A little more water. Right, there's a line right here I want to try and get rid of. So just sort of playing with how wet everything is. This I think is working okay. I might just leave it. And I want to get a little more in this one right here. So this one's pretty dry, or almost virtually dry. So it works much better when I let it dry. Then it's pretty easy to do another layer on top. Why do we just keep going in and painting when we shouldn't? I don't know. It's like you could just never leave it alone. Okay, just a little more clean paper towel. Try and get that edge a little lighter. That's okay. This is, it's pretty dark. Let's hope it dries a little bit later. Let's see. So I might wait on this shadow. Why? Why am I waiting on that shadow? I don't know. We got all the color right here. Let's just put it on. It's the lighter shadow, right? So let's use more water this time around. And it's a slightly more defined shadow too. It's not as diffused. But it doesn't have this little curve in it. There we go. Yeah, and so I picked a purple. What did we do? This one's got a blue shadow. I might have to darken this up a little bit. I think it's not quite, these are much more solid than the shadow's a little too light here. So I think that needs a few more layers. This one's kind of a more purpley shadow too. Actually, I think I used that our shadow violet on this one. And this one has not got any shadows on the pears yet. So that means taking some time also. Okay. So let's work on, let's try. Let's get this guy done. Let's turn it over again. Just for me, I'm one of those people who always turns the map while I'm driving. If you have a paper map, of course, which don't really exist anymore. All right, a little green. This one's got only a little bit of yellow. It's got a lot of green. So let's start with the green this time. And I kind of changed the shape of the pear. It's a little more rounded. And I thought, you can make your pears any shape you want. Okay, I'm gonna pull that around. And then let's just meet with some yellow over here. So rather than put the yellow on all of it, I'm putting the yellow in the highlights. Let's lock that a little bit. Oops, sorry. Here we go. It's pretty dry already. It's a hot day. Things are drying pretty fast. So this one's a little paler. I think I'll go back to the Naples yellow. Oh, I got some yellow on my paper. Okay. So there's my yellow. This up here. A little bit more. Maybe a little green on this side. Brown. All right, we could leave some white also. I always forget, but you know, a little bit of white on the page is always really nice. You don't have to cover it all up. I was a very good colorer. I used to color in everything. And it's very thorough. And I need to not be as thorough painting. So leave some white. Brown on this side too. This is a little too brown, so I'm adding a little bit of green to it. And I lost my white. Get a couple highlights too, right on the side there. And on the top. This is why it's nice to do one at a time, because I'm not, you know, I'm not blotting the other one at the same, by accident at the same time. I think it should be browner. So let's add the green, right? It's gonna make it the right color. Trying to pay attention to that shape in the front, right? I don't want to go over it and lose that that pretty curve right there. Okay. All right, let's turn it over and see what it looks like. Strange brown right there. More green. Okay. Now our first one is pretty light, right? It lightened up a lot, and the other pairs are kind of a little more interesting. So we may have to, I think we'll have to add a little bit more to that. Let's do something with this. All right, let's do this pair. Let's leave the leaf, right? Leave the leaf. Let's try, here's a little yellow ochre. Let's see what that does, right? It's kind of a perfect pear color. So I'm painting around the leaf because I think I want to make it a little greener. You know, I don't want this kind of dead brown leaf on my pears there. Okay, let's get, so there's yellow ochre, here's a little gamboge. This one's getting a little of everything on it. Can she leave a white? Let's see if she can leave a white highlight there. Okay, so I'm gonna just pull some, you know, water around. that highlighted back. Sometimes a wet paper towel is better than a brand new dry paper towel because it takes a little less off, right? The paper towels are too good sometimes. That's a good color. Let's add some of the green too. A little bit. Can I see some on this side? I'm not putting any of the marks on yet, right? We're gonna wait. This one's got a lot of nice ones. I just want to put some color on. Definitely looks a little browner on the top side here. Still using green and brown together though. And there's my highlight. And there's the pears, the stem's got a little shadow on it, which is cute. Maybe we'll go a little darker down at the bottom. So, it's about, right, observation, like, whatever you notice. If you can notice there's a highlight and you notice that it's a little lighter on the bottom edge because there's some reflected light from the plate, whatever it is that you see, right, that's going to make your picture more interesting and accurate. Okay, so we need that to dry a little bit. And I don't want this highlight to be that strong. So a little extra water there. All right. Fill in those shadows. All right, so it may need another layer as well. Brush. Okay, how's everything else? Let's see if we can get that one in the middle. So what's fun is, right, we've got, we've started them all separately, kind of with sort of different colors on each one. And we can make it more unified now by, I'll come back and we'll add a little more yellow to this one. And, we'll get them looking like they're all the same kind of pear, if we want to do that. But, anyway. All right, here we go. We're going to do a little more green. I'm going to still paint around that leaf to remind me that I wanted a light color. I mean, green. Okay. Water. Yeah. And this one's got a lot of nice, a little bit of sun on it almost. So let's add a little yellow there. Now maybe I might come in and let's add a little yellow. For the one behind it. I feel like we got enough on there that it's not gonna, blend into the other one. This one has been fairly dry. Okay. And then back to the brown. I'm mixing the brown with the green too at the same time, so it seems to work a little better than if I just put the burnt sienna on there. So we're going to get just a little darker. See this pear's got a nice little highlight. Let's see if we can get that somehow. Right, and this one's got a highlight on the other side there. So, I'm doing it sort of delicately, taking my time, but I'm still doing, pretty big brush strokes and still using a lot of water because we want it to move around and be soft. Right? Looks like it needs a little green. Little in there. No, can't see it. Using that front pair. Okay. Nice. Oh, see, I shouldn't have done this one at the same time. It's bleeding up into it. About that. So, what I said before about painting them all separately, that's a good idea. Okay. I'm not going to worry about the plate per se. So maybe let's put some stems in. And this could be, you can do a burnt sienna or a little, got some sepia, I'm thinking, to start with. And I'm going to grab a flat brush. Let me show you. Right, so that flat is so nice. It works really well. You can come in, oops. Almost do it like an outside edge. And then kind of fill it in. Little burnt sienna too. So that's very, very fat, but all right, let's check it some off. Yeah, lighten it up. Just leave it for now. Let's try another one, a little better. This is wet. Let's dry. Okay. Kind of, if you notice, you can pay attention to how it meets the pear, right? It's not flat across. It's gonna somewhere a little curved. So you can put some color on and then just sort of blot it. Here's another one here. All right, we can do the top. And this one's more like like an apple stem. It's kind of really going inside. This one's kind of big. Oops, not quite that big, but oh well. Right, notice how far it goes down. Yeah, that's a bit much. Let's see if we can take that off. And then we get this guy. Curve. Right, it's kind of, if you can make them all look a little different rather than identical, that can be helpful as far as making things look real. Let's see about this one. Oh, this one needs kind of green at the bottom. And go sort of out a little bit. Okay. Let's just lighten them up a little. So we put some paint on and then we take it off, and we put it on and we take it off. We can darken them up later. Just want to get them on there. Okay, let's also see, how is this? It's still a little wet. Everything's still wet. Let's wait on that leaf for the moment. Fun. All right, let's get that leaf on. It's driving me crazy. Everybody's got this white leaf. Let's figure that out. All right. All right. Dry enough. So I got a couple weird greens. I have one that's sort of a brownish green. It's called apatite. It's a mineral. Anyway, I'm thinking a little bit of a brownish green. Now this one, the leaf is actually curled over onto the other. I don't think I really want to. All right, we'll do it anyway. Okay, I'm going to paint the underside first. Oops. Very wet, so I got to pay attention, right? Get a nice, really pointy edge at the bottom here. Let's just try that once more. Take a little water out, and then you get a little bit more control and get a nice point. Okay, so let's pull that around. Okay. And I'm just gonna have this be kind of a solid color. I'm gonna let that dry, and then we'll do the top edge, right? Let's see if I can get a little more defined over here. So I've got something called Hatite. It's a Daniel Smith. I've hardly ever used it. Let's see if I can do that something. Sort of a like a dark olive green almost. That's hard to see. Let me thin it out a little bit. Yeah. Like a mossy green. So sap green with a little bit of, all right, let's try and make it, right? We'll take this, our sap green, which is more of a, like a grass green. Let's see what a little bit of, you know what? I think if you've got some sepia, I bet it's like sap green and a little sepia. That's pretty close. You could also add a little burnt sienna. Warm it up a little bit. It's okay, but not quite. Okay, so here's a little leaf green. It's a little closer. So anything like that. You know, we want kind of a dull green, right? You know, there's our sap and it's a little too bright. So we want to dull it down a little bit. It's called leaf green. The kind that we use is Da Vinci. That's the name of the brand, but they're sometimes hard to find. Holbein also sells a leaf green, but it is slightly different. Let's see if I can show you that too. So I actually use both. Let's see. Here's one leaf green. Here's the other. One's a little bit lighter than the other. Maybe they're the same. It's just one is a little. No, they're about the same. Just have to use a little more water. So Holbein leaf green is pretty easy to find. This is the Holbein one here, and that's our leaf green from Da Vinci. So this is close enough, right? Let's write it on here. It is called apatite. It looks like apatite. It's a mineral. In fact, yep, I just saw it at a mineral store. It's like green and brown, and that's how they make it. They just crush up the mineral. So anyway, it's a nice little series of greens and browns here. This actually looks nicer than the apatite. So mixing your green is, a kind of a brownish green is going to give you a nicer color. Yeah, so maybe I'll use that for the top part of it. So we started with the sap green, and we got a little burnt sienna. Right, that's pretty good. And then we did take a little bit of leaf green. I think that might be enough. Yeah. And then for some reason it kind of, it didn't mix evenly. So that's okay. Nice. All right, I'm going to take it. I'm going to use it right from where I mixed it on the paper here. And I'm going to put this on the other side. And I think there's a little white edge that I missed. So I'm going to have to take it out later. Anyway, yeah, that's nice. So, two slightly different greens are going to make it look like the the leaf is curled, and that you're seeing, the underside and the top side. Oh, in fact, there's a little bit of a stem. Didn't see that. Okay. Kind of connects to the top there. It's a little thinner than that. Let's try that once more. Let's see. Something like that. Yeah. Studying greens. So this guy's, everything's dry now but the leaf. So my one pair here, actually all of them need a little oomph, right? We got to punch up the color a little bit. So now that everything's kind of dry, I'm going to stick with my, maybe I should use it even. Wondering if I can go to a bigger brush even, because I don't want to get fussy, right? In fact, let's try this. Let's see. Okay. So because we're on the good paper, I'm going to re-wet this pear, just the first one that we did. Right. And that's not going to take anything off, but it's going to let me add another layer of color without having to worry about, adding more lines on it. So we're glazing basically. Right? We're going to glaze it with a little bit more, another layer of color on here. Right, so this is some green, little brown, and I'm trying to put it on quickly. Right, I think I'm going to leave that. So let's do another one then. So clean your brush off. Helps using the bigger brushes. They do more work. All right, so we're going to wet this guy. Right, and I really try to go and make sure I get the whole thing wet. Use the same kind of line. There's another yellow, we forgot. Okay, completely forgot to talk about. Here's this quinacridone gold, right? Woof. Gosh, that's pretty. All right, that and a little green down here. You can leave that. Let's flip this over again. All right, so it's hard to get the color strong enough in just one layer. So it's really good to have things dry, right? And then to add another series of colors on top. Okay, I'm gonna do, well, that one's wet, right? Yeah. Okay, we gotta do this one. So this is this yellow quinacridone gold. I'm gonna put some green on too. Okay, leave it. Okay. Getting more intense. You can tell which ones have been painted for, the second layer. That one's, yeah, let's see if we can do that. This one, let's try, here's a little green. Oh, I didn't wet it. Okay, I'm gonna wet it now. Little burnt sienna, right? And this brush has a nice shape. It's not got a hard, it's soft around the edges, so it's good for it's a good brush for painting pears because they're so rounded. So you can do some nice rounded strokes with it. That's working better. Everything needs to dry a little bit. This one needs a little bit more. If I paint on it now, right, I'll lose my color because it's it's not locked into the paper until it dries completely. Get a little extra green in here. See what happens there. Okay. That one's gonna maybe do a little bit of a bloom, which maybe I'm doing on purpose. I'm not sure. A little more green over here. Okay. Fun. Yeah, I gotta wait. Let me go dry this real quick. Okay. Helped. Blew everything away. All right. Great. Let's add some more to the ones, see, this one still needs another layer, right? I think this one looks good. And I like the bloom that happened. So maybe we'll have to do that again. Okay. So we got a little kind of green. Oops. And I'm gonna bright green right now, but we're gonna add the brown to it. So here's our brown. And let's see. Try not to go over, when I put the second color on here, the brown, I'm sort of trying to just leave it. Actually, that's fine. I like that. We don't have to, the other thing is we don't have to make it exactly like the picture, right? We can, once you get to a point where you want your, your painting to be more interesting anyway, right? So we could, you can put the photo away and just start working on, how you need this picture to look, right? That's my paper I should have taped down because it's buckling. This is when I'm going to have to iron, right, to get it flat again. So what I want, I'm trying to create something where the pear in front pops out because it's got lighter edges. So I've got to darken the one in the back in order for that one to come forward, right? So let's see. Now this guy's quite a bit darker, right? It's more in shadow. So let's darken him up. Here's our green brown mixture. And I'm doing it, it's dry right now. Trying to paint around that leaf. Maybe I'll even try to see if I can get a little shadow on the leaf. Shadow from the leaf, something like that. All right, this one's pretty much kind of in shadow, this pear. Okay. Let's see, there's the little, right, the top showing. Ooh, that's starting to look good. Right? Sometimes you really need those shadows. All right. And I think I'm gonna add a little bit of green. Just don't want to be taking it up, right? If my brush is too dry, it's gonna come up rather than landing on the paper and staying there. A little more water. Let's see, we might end up with a bloom. Who knows? Okay. Actually, let's add a little bit of a bloom. Let's put one in on purpose. Okay, here's a little extra water, and there's a little extra water. So I'm just kind of getting it to move a little bit more. Right? It was a little too perfect. It was, they're modeled, right? They have, they're not the same all over. But you can see now what, this is like maybe the second or third layer on this one. Like the only one that actually looks good so yet is this guy. We're getting there, but it takes a few more layers to really, get them to look like they've got some depth and some weight to them, right? Some substance or something. to get them to be pears that you look like that you might want to eat. Let's just say, right? So yeah, good for time. Let's try. This one's going to need a little bit more now. So, what's happening is, right, we're getting things to be a little bit darker. We still don't have any shadows on our pears, right? I'm still just trying to get the colors sort of rich. And then I want to go back, we could try the purple. You might want to try a little bit of blue. We'll see. We'll see if we get to that. Maybe we should try that one. Well, why don't we see what we can do with that? Okay, I'm going to use that same shadow color that we used here. So it's the Payne's gray and a little dioxazine violet. Okay, so we're kind of trying to do some complementary color thing here, right? The yellow and the purple are complementary colors. So what I am trying to do here is I'm going to put the, trying to get a little shadow on here. Let's pull that along. I really just want the color to kind of sit on top, and it's going to look like a shadow because it's kind of grayish. Right. The same thing we used on the shadow. So it's the Payne's gray and the dioxazine purple. And it's very thin, but on here it works. It really works as a shadow. So look at that. Now all of a sudden we got a lot of contrast. So I'm going to come around and I'm going to just add some water, right? Soften it up a little bit in spots. Get some blooms. Add a little extra water there. Oh, I might leave that. Wow, looks like a real watercolor. I'll hold it up. It looks really good. It's kind of a little drippy and wet, and yeah, it's all right. Hide some of those. Yeah, now we got some shadow. Okay, but that's